Hey, what's up? I'm Darkbblue, trying to help everyone enjoy games in depth. Welcome back to our Elden Ring walkthrough guide. In this video, we'll be doing the exploration of Plateau and Volcano. Then for the mechanic part, we'll be covering the deeper aspect of stem mechanics and the controlling combat. Before we head out, you can teleport to the round table hold and talk to the Finger Maiden to unlock the third talisman slot. This reward is unlocked once you have obtained 2 great runes. To reach the plateau, there are 3 routes. The first one, which is also what we take here, is to defeat the magma worm and take the elevator in the boss arena. The second one is to get 2 keys from 2 forts, which are Fort Height and the fort near the Great White Dragon, and then activate the grand elevator in the lakes. Finally, you can also choose to be grabbed by a special iron version in the academy to be teleported into a hidden area of the volcano manor and then escape. Along our way into the plateau, you'll encounter an ancient dragon. They are different from flying dragons, and I offer you 2 different strategies. First, bait its attack by standing in front of it, and then run to attack its hind legs. And 2. Simply use ranged attacks to hit its head. Recall what we need to do upon arriving at a new area. Let's first unlock the map fragments. The map for the plateau is located on the road to your northeast. Along the way, you can loot a great shield talisman. The map for the volcano is right starting from the manor. You'll need to first find the girl who sent you here to be teleported to the manor. Then leave the manor from the front gate and head to the lower part of the volcano. Then what's the second task? Yes, it's to upgrade your weapons. There are 3 tunnels in total in this area. The first one is directly to the north of the herb tree gazing hill grace. To enter, you need 2 stone saw keys. If your keys run short, you can always buy some from the Tomb Maiden in the round table hold. The second one is in the center basin of the plateau, and the final boss is Dual Crystallion. So remember to equip Staff. Since you cannot use Holy or Fire Affinity with stem equipped for now, you can upgrade the Worm Curve Sword a bit and use it to fight the miners. Upon seeing Crystallians, let's recall what you have learned about stem mechanics, damage level, and stems. It's time that we add some additional information to the two mechanics. Still remember our fight against the Omen in the Stormville Castle? I said Hay can be staggered by damage level most of the time, but when it's using a martial attack, Hay will gain temporary hyper armor. In this case, do you have any means to break his hyper armor? Yes, status effects. Status effects in Elden Ring such as Bleed, Frost, and Poison can interrupt some enemies upon proccing. Commonly, as long as an enemy can be staggered by damage level, it can be interrupted by status effect proccing, and this effect will bypass any temporary hyper armor. Of course, for a strength and faith character as we are playing, it's hard to make use of status effects, so this is basically an additional piece of information that might be useful when you are playing other builds in the future. The third tunnel is located between the outer and the inner ramparts of the capital city. There are two tree sentinels guarding the entrance, but you can simply run through them without fighting. Inside the tunnel, there are many phantom walls. Simply roll, dodge, or attack beside them to make them vanish. Along the way, there's a statue that can be broken by the Iron Virgin. And the final boss is an Onyx Lord. You can use Giant Hand to stun lock him. In this tunnel, you can find a bell bearing that unlocks the access to Smithing Stone 3 and 4 in the Twin Maidens shop. This allows you to upgrade your secret seal to at least plus 12. Then you can fight the Falling Star Beast, located to the south of the capital entrance, which drops a lot of smithing stones. To fight this boss, you can use the skill called Raptor of the Mist or caught by someone, or even feathers. For now, just treat this skill as an enhanced version of dodge rolling that has a much longer iframe window. This helps you time your evasion more easily when dodging certain attacks from this boss. Once you have finished upgrading weapons, it's time to lose some useful gears in the plateau. First of all, there's a demi-human queen in the southwestern ruin, which drops a talisman that increases your attack power as long as you are at full HP. It's very useful since you can defeat enemies faster. Then there's an Evergo near the Grand Lifter. This boss drops a talisman that increases the attack power of charged skills and charged spells. Afterwards, it's time to harvest some bosses around the plateau. Most of them are familiar. There's a new boss called Godskin. He's extremely weak to sleep, so you can craft some sleeping pods. To craft a sleeping pod, you need a crack pod, which can be bought from the merchant in the starting church. After making the boss fall asleep, you can use Wild Strike skill to deal tons of damage. At the same time, remember to equip the talisman called Wind Sword Insignia that can increase your attack power by landing successive hits. There's another new boss called Worm Face. My recommended strategy is to first stay away from it to bait its ranged attacks, and then use Quick Step skill to close the distance fast and deal quick damage. Of course, you can also choose to use Stormblade to deal ranged damage after evading its ranged attacks. Finally, let's update the strategy against Tree Sentinels a bit. Previously, we were using Stamp. From now on, you can switch to Giant Hunt. This skill can also stagger the boss with each hit through the damage level mechanic, but it's much faster and thus safer. Next, let's go to explore the volcano. Personally, I divide this area into Lower Volcano, Upper Volcano, and the Volcano Manor. Before doing any exploration, I choose to first do the invasion quests. From now on, when fighting NPCs, you can use Giant Hound to stunlock them. Basically, you can cut the next skill when you see your character place the weapon back to its normal position after a previous attack. Some NPCs will try to dodge roll, but will still be hit after rolling. The first invasion target drops a full set of heavy armors, which are very useful. I like to pair the arm and leg parts of this set with light armor chest and headpieces. After finishing the first quest, Banal will add a few new skills to his stock. Among them, Assassin's Gambit is very useful. It makes you partially invisible and makes zero sound when moving so that you can sneak around. You can easily bypass many difficulties with it. In addition to the quests directly handed to you, Banal and Patches will also give their quests to you. Patches' quest will give you a full set of super heavy armor, which has one of the highest defense in the game. Then let's go exploring the Lower Volcano. Its entrance is near the Earth Tree Gazing Hill Grace. Starting from this grace, head northwest to the small tableland where there's a Tibia Marina. He drops another Death Root. Death Roots can be handed to the Beast Cleric to get rewards that are very useful for our strength and face build. You can refer to the wiki to fully collect them. Follow the river valley until you see a fort. Inside the fort, you can get a colossal hammer and a fire damage talisman. Leave the fort and head eastward to fight another magma worm. Then go uphill from the eastern pass until you activate the grace. Along the way, you can see a statue. Go back to bait the bear to break the statue after you activate the grace. So far, we have fully explored the lower volcano. Now it's time to go to the upper volcano. There are 3 entrances you can choose. The first one is the bridge at the northwestern direction of the plateau. After crossing the bridge, keep riding westward until you see a shack. You can find Golden Well Incantation here, which is the incantation version of the Golden Well skills you've been using. The incantation version is more powerful and the 2 versions cannot work together, so from now on you can use this one instead. The buffing process is as follows: Crystal Tear, Golden Vow, and Flame Strength. There's a very long ladder along the way taking you to Upper Volcano. The second entrance is to continue your journey near the bear and the statue, jumping across the gap to reach the same location that the ladder leads you to. Follow the path and you will find a full-grown falling star beast. It can be a bit tough to fight and you can skip it for now. But if you have defeated or bypassed it, you will find yourself at the entrance to the volcano manor. Then the third entrance to the upper volcano is to get out of the manor from the front gate. Starting from where you previously picked up the map fragment, you can fight one more tree spirit. Let's recall how to deal with it. Every time you finish attacking, retreat a bit so that you can observe its move from longer distance to see more clearly. Also, remember that tree spirits will let out a huge AoE upon reaching half HP. You need to get away in advance. Finally, let's go explore the volcano manor. There's a phantom wall in the first room to your right. Through this wall, you can get inside the real volcano manor. Here you will fight another gold skin boss which is also weak to sleep. Then jump off the balcony to explore even deeper. Inside this room, you can open the seal with stone sword key. In the end, you will find a resolve skill that's stronger than the determination skill we've been using. So far, we have explored most content of Plateau and Volcano. Let's get back to the lakes and start the running questline. So, teleport to Carry Manor to the northwest of the Great Lake. There are many finger worms in the yard. Here we can practice the use of Assassin's Gambit for the first time. The final boss of this manor is the Phantom Loretta. You can use the same strategy against her as how you fight Tree Sentinels, as she can also be staggered by damage level. Afterward, go to the backyard of the manor and defeat the magic dragon.
Oh, I believe it pleases. But tarnish, I have no reason. Intriguing. Wilt thou? I am the wit that I might well.
Inside the Sorcerer's Rise, you can accept the quest of running. Then you need to go to the underworld area in Limgrave through an elevator well inside the Mist Woods. Then you need to find Blood, and he will tell you to talk to Salavus.
Apologies, I can see blood. I've tried all the game. Perhaps it's not recall that. Let's give him a... I jest. Besides, leave this place to if either of us look.
Well, did you not realize? Perhaps I'd like you to... Even you. Good. Now I shall have... Fine, I expect. I've no time. The only thing... Are we and I have enough. Well, the task was not to only... Well, now's as good. There's a glint. She also... I'll write you a letter.
Salavus will then introduce you to a sorceress in Waypoint Ruins who will tell you to defeat Rodon.
Tarnished. I am. Why are you here? I dare say you're. Oh well, perhaps no. But one must. I was ex as a revive. You still? Very well. But I refuse to anticipate. Well, Salavus is. But fine. The stars. But long ago. Now here's. If. And so too.
Finally, go back to Blood and show him this information. And then you can go to the Redman Castle in Kaylee to fight Radon. Okay, we have added an additional piece of information, the status effect proc interruption to the damage level mechanic. Do we have the same addition for stuns? So, what's the biggest drawback of stuns in your opinion? In my opinion, it's the fact that it's accumulative. You need to spend some time accumulating stuns damage, during which the enemy is uncontrolled, which can be very dangerous. So we need an additional controlling mechanic to fill this blank, and that'll be set move. Many enemies will conduct set or fixed moves at the start of the fight or when reaching certain HP percentage. For example, Magma Worms always use a charge attack at the start, and will imbue its weapons with fire at half HP. This imbue animation is a very large window for you to land hits. I believe this can show the importance of set moves, which will also be used in the following fight against Radon. Before we start, equip Crackblade skill and as many offensive buffs as possible, such as Charged Attack Talisman and the Crystal Tear. When you are teleported into the arena, immediately run backward and dodge an arrow shot until Radon disappears in the background. At this time, you can run back to your initial position and see Radon switch to his melee form. This is a useful trick to skip the ranged form. At first, Radon will attack uncontrolled, so you need to do a bit evading and counterattacking. At 75% HP, Radon will start his set move, Crackblade and 7-star. It's a very long set move during which you can deal a lot of damage and stun damage, enough for you to get him under half HP. Then at half HP, Radon will use another set move, a Great Falling Star attack, and after the Falling Star attack, he will continue to summon some Crag Balls, which is also a set move. So as you can see, Radon does have a lot of set moves, so it's well enough for you to stun break him during this. This is a very good example for how stun stagger and set moves can work together to have stronger control over enemies. By the way, this is my attributes after the Radon fight. Afterward, talk to the NPC to end the festival state of the castle. This will open all the doors in the castle. Follow my route, get a wet blade that unlocks fire and flame artifacts. In the future, you can use fire damage against many enemies that are weak to it to fully exploit the potential of the strength and face build. In addition, remember to talk to Alexander after the fight. Then go to where you fought the magma worm in the volcano to talk to him again. Now we have completed the content of this video as well as the full introduction to controlling combat, our first combat style. In the next video, we will start to learn interactive combat. If you want to play games into depth together with me, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you around.
Bake me in your flames.
I hardly think I've been taken. But I won't be able to. Perhaps there's an old above the lock. Perhaps there's an old above the lock.